Okay, friends, let's get some solutions to this second stat homework, which covers everything from legalized marijuana to body mass index. Excuse me. What was your first? Oh, this first one was your whatever you thought of. What was your first answer to what a margin of error was? It was actually a lot of fun to read your responses to that. Let's get the BMI. BMI was used as a measure of obesity throughout the studies. Yeah, what is the formula for BMI? So let's look up BMI formula. Simple calculation. Let's look at diabetes.ca. Simple formula. Yeah, it's your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters, but you have to square the meters. Kilograms is a person's weight in kilograms, and squared meters is just that. Take your height and square it. And then they give you some ranges for overweight and obese and things like that. It's been in the news recently, actually, with the president. Back to this. Why BMI isn't always the best choice for measuring obesity in all people. And down here, this is actually a great link, Diabetes Canada. BMI is not used for muscle builders, long-distance athletes, pregnant women, the elderly, or young children, which, I mean, if you take those out of the population, you've got about a third of the people left. The problem with BMI is the fact that it's got two measurements, your weight and your height. It does not tease out things like bone density or muscle mass or body surface area. Lots and lots and lots of other measurements. For example, down here, I'm going to throw my numbers in here. I'm about 180, depending on what time of year you ask me. I'm about 6 feet tall. And I have a BMI of 24.4. That's considered normal. However, if I go to 185, which sometimes I am, depending on what time of the year it is, then I'm overweight. Well, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. You shouldn't have that. Switching over from 1 pound to another should not switch me from normal to overweight. If I go from 183 to 184, which most scales actually aren't even precise enough to catch that. Anyway, I don't want to rant too much about BMI, but those are some of the big. This paragraph does a pretty good job of actually talking about who shouldn't be measured with BMI. Okay, let's go back to this. I just calculated my BMI, and it's 25.8. So whatever day I did it, it was 25.8. What's the unit on that number? It's funny. A lot of you got the formula right. You said it's your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters, but that means the unit is kilograms per meter squared. So that's what the unit is. On the 6th video of today's playlist, I take a deeper look. Oh, that's right. Let me go get that PowerPoint. Let me go find that for you here, friends. Sorry, I remember this was in here. I would have been able to have it ready for us. All right, so let's go find that study. It's at the end. It's a long one. There it is. No, it's in here. There we go. It's this chart right here, video 6. And I asked you to find the margins of error. Actually, I'm going to escape this and blow this up so we can see it easier. And what you needed to look at were these. These are right in here. So to find the margins of error, you simply take either endpoint of the confidence interval and subtract the center. So the average was 70.8%. So you'd take that and subtract it away from 73.1 or subtract 68.4 from it. If you subtract 68.4 from 70.8, it looks like you get 2.4, which is roughly the same thing you get if you go from this one minus this one. So this one's got a margin of about 2.4. This one looks like it has a margin of about 2.9. And that one has a margin, looks like to be about 3.5, 3.4, 3.5, which makes sense. The margins are getting wider as time goes on because as it gets further and further away from present, it's going to be harder and harder to make any kind of a prediction. So there you go. That was that one. American support for marijuana hits a new high. All right, let's find that. Let's find that one. American support for marijuana hits a new high. Motley Fool, there it is right there. All right. What percent or fraction support legalization of pot? 2/3 of Americans. 2/3 of Americans. All right, so 2/3, the majority. Well, according to that number without a margin of error on it. We got to go find the study. So it's down here. Yep, Gallup released its latest annual poll. I'm not sure this one's the latest anymore, but it's the one we'll use for this. 2 in 3 Americans now support legalizing. There we go. Support for legalizing marijuana continues to edge up. There it is. There's your 66. That's the 2/3. And it looks like the one right before it was 64. And I believe we just answered, yep, number 5. 64 was the one previous. Now we got to go find the margin, because the problem is these numbers, we did not ask every single American. They've got an error on them. So let's go look for it. And I think this might be the one where they hit it, the little boogers. They hit it in survey methods down here. Yep, there it is right there. Plus or minus 4 percentage points. Plus or minus 4 percentage points. So we're going to take that plus or minus 4, use the 66, and say we're confident that between 62 and 70% of Americans support legalizing pot. And then I said in 2017, exactly the same margin of error. Is the headline for this new one correct? American support for marijuana hits a new high. Nope, can't be. Can't be, because 66 is not exactly 66. It might be as high as 70, but it might be as low as 62. We are confident it's somewhere between 62 and 70. And 64 might be as low as 60 or as high as 68. That's the range we're confident it's within. So that means the percentage could have been higher last year and fell this year. Just because the sample that we got had a higher percentage doesn't mean the population has the same higher percentage. That's the idea of a margin, the uncertainty. And I think we just answered number 9. Why must you always apply a margin of error? Well, the idea of error is the fact that since you did not ask every single person or poll or survey every single person, you've got some wiggle room around your answer. Your answer might be too low or too high, and the margin of error controls for that. So there you go. There's some answers for our homework for part the second stats. Hope that helped. See you soon.